Today, we're digging into a play so influential, it practically wrote the rulebook for one of theater's absolute bloodiest genres. So, what if I told you that, the ghost, the feigned madness, the play within a play, and that huge, tragic pile of bodies at the end of Hamlet, what if all of that existed before Shakespeare even put pen to paper on that play? Yeah, that's right. We're talking about Thomas Kyd's The Spanish Tragedy. This was the explosive, trailblazing play that became the essential blueprint, basically Shakespeare's playbook, for centuries of drama. Okay, so to really get this, we gotta go back in time, back to the Elizabethan stage, right before Shakespeare became, well, Shakespeare. This is the moment where a guy named Thomas Kyd changed absolutely everything. I mean, The Spanish Tragedy was a play of so many incredible firsts. It wasn't just the first big revenge tragedy. No way. It also helped pioneer drama that wasn't tied to religion. That's huge. It brought this powerful new poetry to the English stage, and audiences went nuts for it. It was an absolute instant smash. So Kyd basically invents a whole new genre for the English stage. And the formula? It's simple, but man, is it powerful. You've got a protagonist who suffers a really terrible wrong. The justice system, it fails them completely. So what do? They take matters into their own bloody hands. And, well, it usually leads to a catastrophic ending for just about everyone involved. And where did Kyd get this idea? Well, his inspiration was key. He was looking back at the classical Roman writer Seneca, and he took all that intense violence and those dark, heavy themes, but he repackaged them for a popular audience. He basically turned this brutal philosophical tragedy into blockbuster entertainment. Pretty genius, right? All right, so what were the big ideas simmering underneath all that action and bloodshed? Let's dive in and break down the key themes that made this play so incredibly powerful. Okay, so a huge theme for audiences back then was this idea of the Wheel of Fortune. Think of it like this. Life is totally unpredictable. One minute, you're at the top of the wheel, you've got happiness, power, everything's great. The next, whoosh, the wheel turns and you're at the bottom, plunged into misery and helplessness. It's this feeling that everything could fall apart at any moment that's just so central to the play's tension. And this brings us right to the core conflict. Our hero, a guy named Hieronymo, is a judge, and he starts off by quoting the Bible. "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." This is the standard Christian view at the time, right? Revenge belongs to God. It's a big-time sin for any person to go seeking it for themselves. But then, his own son is murdered, and the killers, they get away with it. And that's when Hieronymo's entire worldview just shifts. He starts to think, okay, if the courts here on earth won't do anything, then I have to become God's instrument. I have to be the one to carry out his vengeance. Kyd is also a master at playing with this theme of appearance versus reality. What you see is not what you get. There's this one incredibly powerful scene. A character is being led to his execution, but he's clutching this box, believing that inside there's a royal pardon that's going to save him. And the reality? It's just crushing. The box is empty. It's such a brilliant, brutal way to show how everyone in this world is constantly being deceived. They just can't see the terrifying truth that's hiding right under the surface. So, it's not just about the themes. Kyd also introduced some incredible dramatic techniques, tools that writers would be copying for generations. Let's take a look at how he pulled it off. Just look at the bloody handkerchief. This one single prop completely transforms through the play. At first, it's a symbol of love. Then it becomes a token of memory. But after Hieronymo's son is murdered, it becomes this physical symbol of his vow for revenge. And by the end, it stands for total annihilation. It's an absolutely incredible use of symbolism, all packed into one object. Kyd also loved this thing called antithesis, which is basically just creating drama through huge, shocking contrasts and reversals. You have Hieronymo, the noble judge, who turns into a cunning Machiavellian avenger. And then you have Lorenzo, the super clever villain, who gets totally outsmarted and ends up being just a pawn in someone else's game. The whole world gets flipped completely upside down. And he did this other brilliant thing. He blended two totally different worldviews. He literally pulls descriptions of the underworld straight from classical pagan works like Virgil's Aeneid. But then he mashes that up with the very Christian idea that a man can be God's representative on earth, acting out a divine plan. It's this incredible collision of worlds. Now, a new kind of play like this, It needed a new breed of characters, and man, did Kai deliver some unforgettable ones. And maybe his most influential creation of all was the Machiavellian villain. Now, this isn't just your average bad guy. Oh no. This is a character who is smart, they're often charming, but they are completely amoral. To them, things like deceit, manipulation, and violence, those are just tools in the toolbox to get whatever they want. The villain of our play, Lorenzo, is the perfect example. He's a master manipulator, using his words to twist everyone around his finger. But, and this is a brilliant twist, his own overconfidence is what ultimately brings him down. Sound familiar? He should. He is the direct prototype for one of Shakespeare's most famous villains, Iago from Othello. And get this, we don't just have one Avenger, we have two, and they are totally different. You've got Hieronymo, who's the thinking Avenger. We get to hear all his internal struggles in these long, agonizing speeches, soliloquies, where he's just thinking out loud. But then you have Belle Imperia. She's the acting Avenger. She's got this incredible mental strength and an absolutely unwavering will to act. So you put all these pieces together. What's the final legacy of the Spanish tragedy? What did it leave behind? I mean, Kayet's blueprint is just undeniable. A ghost that shows up seeking revenge? Check. A hero who pretends to be mad to uncover the truth? You got it. A play within a play used as a trap to expose the guilty? Absolutely. And of course, a massive, bloody finale with a super high body count? Double check. These became the essential building blocks for the entire genre. And here's the thing. These weren't just a few clever ideas for one play. This became the formula. Thomas Kai literally created the playbook that so many playwrights after him, including, yes, the great William Shakespeare himself, would use to write their own masterpieces. Most famously, of course, Hamlet. Which brings us to one last big thought. You think about it. Revenge, justice, madness, fate. Kai put this all on the stage over 400 years ago. Now, look at the thrillers and dramas we watch today. You really have to ask yourself, how much have our stories really changed?